biggest one for me would be class-wise. That sort of became an issue when I was starting school because for a good while I had multiple jobs, so it was kind of hard to balance school and that. And I think a lot of the people that I went to sort of suggested that I just try focusing on my studies, but it's kind of difficult too when the economic factor comes in. So yeah.
Some of the social identities that are important to me, of course, are my identity as a Latino and my identity specifically as a Puerto Rican. But I've been fortunate enough, and this is something that I think I have to recognize, that my identity as a Latino has been recognized by the university. Though I do recognize that there might be some other identities that the university is not recognizing as much, and those are the identities that I would like the university to recognize, like the identity of undocumented students.
The identities I think are important are already addressed at the university through the Centers for Cultural Understanding and Social Change. I identify as a queer Latina, and although being undocumented is not an identity rather than something imposed by the United States, I think that's also important to address on campus. And different people within the university, even administrators, have listened, taken actions, and supported these identities.
I think for me personally, I've had good experiences with having my concerns addressed generally, but I think my concern is more for other students. So students that have different social identities, such as, I don't know, students that identify as undocumented or identify as part of the LGBTQ community. I think my biggest concern is more for Latinx students under those identities, more so in safe spaces and accessibility to the quality of education that perhaps people that don't identify in that way would receive, and the environment as well.
I think on the surface, with things that are more simple, I guess, to address, the university has done a good job in addressing these concerns. Like, for example, giving us the opportunity to have a center, for example, a Latino Cultural Center, where my identity is promoted and it's not only promoted but is also appreciated, right? And so in that sense, I think the university has done a good job. Also, the university has done a good job in providing other services like Lattice, for example, or providing me with a department where I could study Latino studies, which is actually my major. But other concerns that I think the university often ignores is the misrepresentation of Latinos, right? And not having enough Latino staff and faculty at the university, often not taking into consideration that our experiences shape us differently, and so often we get clustered in this category of diverse people, or we're labeled as diversity, but really there's no understanding behind it. And I wish the university would do a little more job in actively understanding the complexity behind our identities. For example, the identity of so many undocumented students, that even though not all undocumented students are Latinos, many of them are. And so though the university might recognize their identity as a Latino or a Latina or a part of the Latinx community, they do not often recognize the struggles that come with being undocumented students. And I wish the university would do a better job recognizing those identities.
I have personally moved away from identity politics. So, meaning what I would want the university to do better or focus on doesn't only impact me as a Latino student. For example, if the administration wants students to stay on campus, that's fine, but we need jobs. So that not only affects the Latino population, right? So providing jobs and matching the minimum wage in Cook County is a big step that the university should take. Another would be safety, but not with police enforcement on campus, but safety for students and with the upcoming months and with the new presidency. We don't know where that's gonna lead. Of course, at UIC, the new administration has been great at providing a new outlook, a new perspective, and has really listened. But I think we need action steps, not just empathy. We also need resources, not only as a Latino student, but for example, if someone encounters sexual assault or stalking on campus, we only have 2, maybe 3 advocates in the whole university for East Campus and West Campus, and that's not enough. So providing these different resources is crucial.
I have been involved in the university. I've been in a couple of student organizations. Initially, I was in a multicultural sorority. I also joined a student group called Fearless Undocumented Alliance. I did have an internship, and I also had held 2 positions as a student worker. I think that sort of helped me in being able, personally at least, to expand my support systems, as well as help others expand their support systems. It's also given me a better understanding in my field of study, which is sociology and Latin American and Latino studies. It gave me a more personal perspective, I think, and though I clearly haven't seen it all, I'm definitely keeping an open mind to.
Yes, I've been blessed enough to be involved a lot in this university. I started with an internship back in my sophomore year with the Latino Cultural Center, and that translated into me taking participation in different student organizations. I've been a member of student organizations like Fearless Undocumented Alliance. I've been a member of Mexican Students de Aslan. I was the president for 2 years for the Union for Puerto Rican Students, and so my involvement on campus has been. I've had a lot of involvement. I'm a student educator at the Latino Cultural Center, which has allowed me to expand my involvement with the university. I've been part of protests, of rallies, of civil action. So I've been fortunate enough to be involved. The way in which my involvement has changed my perspective, first of all, it allowed me to define a positive identity for myself. I think as a Puerto Rican who came from the island at the age of 12, I had a lot of hard times finding an identity or finding who I was during my middle school years and during my high school years, and coming to a place like this, which allowed me to get involved without questioning who I was and allowed me to explore who I wanted to be, really helped me a lot. So that was part of my involvement and how my involvement helped me shape my identity.
As a transfer student, I started getting involved with the Latino Cultural Center as a student worker. I have also been a Heritage Garden intern. I have been involved on campus with MESA, Mexican Students Aslan, with Fearless Undocumented Alliance, with FA, and I've also been involved with different student organizations, like Union for Puerto Rican Students, with Feminist United at one point. And I think all of these different entities or organizations have made me realize that we're all working for social justice or different social issues on campus and in the community. And it's made me realize that a lot of this work is needed, and it's unfortunate that it just keeps going. It doesn't stop, one semester to the next. And I have really appreciated all the collaboration between student organizations, whether it be with the LCC or outside to address either hate rhetoric or speech.
I think one of the biggest misunderstandings about universities is that they're all one size fits all. At least from my experience, and it's not to say that it's automatically going to solve everyone's problems, but in my experience, finding support systems and networks and other students and faculty members within the university to support you have really helped out. I think especially when they have a more personalized view of students' struggles, it makes it easier, I guess, adjusting.
Not staying quiet when something wrong is being said in a class, or whether that means writing a letter to some part of the administration of the university when a need is not addressed, right? Or talking to administrators and asking them to address issues, or whether it is forming a group and having discussions about certain things and that might be pressing them, or certain things that they need to talk about, right? That's what I encourage students to do, to find some way of involvement at the degree or level that they feel comfortable, but find some kind of involvement. Because I guarantee that once they do that, they will find a home, they will find a place in which they will feel comfortable, and that will allow them to deal with all the things that they have to deal and get through the university careers or whatever it is. For the students, and they know what needs to be done, but the reality is that often the decisions that are made up there do not represent the needs and the desires and the wants of the students. So continuing to listen to students, continuing to provide spaces for students in which they are not shut down and made to be quiet, and giving that space and understanding that students will get mad and that students will get frustrated, but allowing those spaces for students and not shutting them down is important. And allowing students to take those spaces, because students not only will feel better, not only will cause change, but they will also grow as leaders that potentially one day will come back to the university and help the university out. So that's what I have to say as a graduating senior for the university.
What advice would you give to Latino students at universities that do not address their concerns?
To those students, I would say to get informed about the resources that are on their campus that already exist. To get informed, know your rights as a student, know policies on campus, reach out to other universities to maybe model their efforts. If there's no student organization addressing a need, form one. If there is no hired position that will tackle on the need, push for that to happen. Your voice is the biggest tool that you have, and to not give up and know that has happened, and it has happened here at UIC, and it will sadly continue to happen, and that they're not alone. To reach out and to have a balance between being involved and academics. That's the biggest one. And graduate as soon as possible.